What's up, friends? This is Shaz bringing you a review of a video game. I know it was a long time, guys. I know you're probably wondering, where is the cool, intro like some of the others did and like I did a few times before. Well, I was actually thinking of one for this game, but the only real idea that stuck to mind would probably end up being a little offensive. So, Story of Seasons Trio Towns. Now, I'm just going to say it before we go on to the video. How would this idea become offensive? Well, let's just say it would be me trying to mimic the three different type of villagers in this three towns. One is Jamaican, one is Chinese. Yeah, you get why I didn't stick to that one. I would not feel right about it, right? Because that's what their culture is. So, guys, Story of Seasons Trio of Towns. Story of Seasons Trio of Towns was released by Marvelous Entertainment, I believe, and it was released in Japan on June 23rd, 2016, in North America on February 28th, 2017, in the PAL region on October 13th, 2017. And it is a farming simulation and role-playing game for the Nintendo 3DS. Now, I have plenty of memories with this game, including saving up chore money to buy this game because I really wanted to play it. It looked really fun. Now, before we really get into anything in this review, I gotta let you know that I am borrowing a lot of the footage from other LPers or other clips from people on YouTube. I will give them full credit in the description, and I will credit their YouTube channel name in the footage I use for them. This game is hard to get footage for on my own. Because it's one of the games that when you play it, you really don't think of recording it, because you'll hear later in this video why, but it's pretty difficult of a game despite what it seems. So I apologize for that. I might try to get some pictures of my farm, my animals, some other things, but the video footage and that will be borrowed for the most part, so I deeply apologize for that. So let's just get on further with this review. I think I'll start with the graphics here. The graphics, well, there's not too much bad about it. I mean, I'll admit, when you get married to someone, the avatars, I think, is the best way to call it. They're kind of creepy looking, especially Ford. Well, not that he's creepy, but he looks more like the character of Brad, right? When he doesn't have his glasses on, right? But actually, all the characters kind of look, not exactly dead in the face. Trust me, we have games like Magical Melody for that. But it's, as I said, the backgrounds are gorgeous. People know what they're doing. The actual avatars, the actual picture of the character you're talking to is decent enough. It's really well designed, and they have their own flair, their own personality, their own look, and that's fine. It's, as I said, in a sense, it's easy on the eyes, but it isn't like Breath of the Wild or anything. So that's kind of the comparison. It is far better than Magical Melody's graphics, but compared to things like Breath of the Wild, but then again, this is a 3DS game and that's a Switch game. So for a 3DS, I think it's really good, easy to look at when you're playing something for hours. That's really good. So I think I'm getting on with the audio. The audio, how do I put this? It's easy to listen to. Just like the graphics were easy on the eyes, it's easy to listen to. Now, it isn't like an orchestra masterpiece or anything, but each town has 3 has distinct music. Any important event has really decent music that fits with that event. And as I said, it's easy to listen to. And when you're in an area for a certain period of time, it's good to have music that's not going to drive you insane, right? And to be fair, I don't often have my audio on when I should, and I should start making a habit of that, especially if I'm going to do reviews. But if I was sitting next to someone playing this game and they decide to keep their audio on, their volume up, it wouldn't bother me. So I could sit next to someone playing this game and it'd be alright. It'd be soothing enough, right? And as I said, it's not horrible in the ears. I mean, that's the biggest thing I have to say about it. It's not like, how do I put it? It's not exactly memorable, necessarily, though. That's the only thing. It's not, it's kind of just there, in a way. It isn't, like, it's not memorable either being so good or so bad, right? It's kind of just, you're able to sit through it, right? That's the main thing I could say, and that's for me. I think for me the most memorable song is West Town's theme, the country theme to it. It has that little beat to it, and that is the most memorable song to me in the entire game. Maybe because I spend the most time there of all the 3 towns, but maybe that's why it's drilled in my head so much. But yeah, I'm sorry to say that the music maybe in some way stands, like, how do I put it? You see the graphics all the time, so you can notice them a little bit more. So, not saying that the audio and the music is bad. It's a little better than okay, and that's pretty much what I feel about the audio. I think I'm going to stick the story and characters sort of together in a way, but I am going over the story more first. In this game, you want to become a farmer, and that was sent you on a trip to a farm with your mother when you were a child, and your father is disapproving of it. It's not that he doesn't appreciate the farming lifestyle, but he just feels you're not able to do it justice, right? And I don't know why he prefers you to be in another profession, right? That would give you more of a, an easier time, but you really want to be a farmer, so you fight with him to give you the chance to try for yourself. And pretty much the game is you kind of trying to prove to your father that you're worthy of being a farmer. But the place you move to is in the middle. The farm you move to is in the middle of 3 unique towns. West Town, Lulukoko, and this is hard to pronounce, Tescaris. Okay, I'm sorry. I will maybe put the word above there with the words there. It's the Japanese Chinese town of the game. The West Town is more for the American town, Texan town. Lulukoko is a tropical town. And you start off with West Town, where it's just close, like your uncle lives outside of West Town. So it's kind of more the native town to your uncle. But you just live in a farm that is in the crossroads of the 3. And it's interesting, each town opens different times. Like, it's the middle of spring of the first year that Lulukoko opens up, and in summer when the 3rd town, we'll call her Teskia. I'm sorry, it's really pronounced wrong, but that's what I'll be using for this review because I'm bad at pronouncing names. But I know it is wrong, right? When that opens up. And the important thing to know is all 3 towns are important, right? And it's all part of the main story is to make friends with them. And I think that's amazing and encourages you to boost the relationship with the towns, among the many tasks you have, right? When you're trying to prove your father wrong. And So the story necessarily isn't awful, right? I like the idea of you having a rival that is really important to you in a way, which is your father in a certain sense of the word. He's kind of like your rival in a certain sense of the word. And I'll get to why that later. And there is going to be spoilers in this review, so I apologize. But we'll just say, you know what, later in this review, I'm pretty much nearing the end of the story explanation, besides the fact you meet a partner to learn your gender, and you get married after wooing them. Well, let's just say you get what you call farm tasks, we'll just put it, and I'll go more into that later in this review. But one of the farm tasks you get is to battle your rival, which they call Mr. D, in the harvest and the animal festivals. What is it? Advanced rank and on. Veteran rank and on. And it turns out in the end, once you complete your farmer's tips, spoilers, Mr. D is your dad. So not only was he giving you tasks to prove yourself to him, he was competing against you. And it makes it feel so much more good when you beat his butt in the final festival and he gives his respect to you in the end. Like, it feels so good when that happens, we'll just say. And, well, while I'm at it, let's get into the characters. Out of everyone, I'm trying to think of my favorite. I can't go into all of them, but I think the characters that are the most interesting to me are actually your father, Daryl, is his name, himself, which even though you don't see him all the time, you only see him occasionally, and when you do see him a lot, it's in his disguise as Mr. D. But as Mr. D, he almost spills his cover, but he pretty much keeps his cover very interesting. Unless you've played the game and already know that Mr. D is your dad, you wouldn't know right away. He plays the part pretty well. Your Uncle Frank, who is your dad's brother, a very interesting character. When you get a better friend ranking with him, you get a few cutscenes, and he loves playing the guitar. He's quite the competitor himself, including kicking my butt one day in one of the festivals. Still haven't beaten him yet, but I never had the chance to. Frank. Okay, I know. My own secret vendetta rival against him now that my dad's out of the picture. The bachelorettes are interesting enough. I think that I've only really ever married for the males was Ford, and the females was Kumari. I've married Ludus too. So 2 males and 1 female. And that's the thing though, they're so off balance with the challenge of that. One character could be the easiest thing in the world that you could accidentally marry him, which is Ford, by the way. One guy is, okay with giving him gifts and everything. And the female I married, Kumari, she's not too bad with giving her stuff, right? It's just when her heart and flower events, whatever they call it, the most. That is confusing. There has to be a certain time of the day, a certain weather condition, and after you've done a certain amount of things, as I said, I think I love Kamari's my favorite bachelorette by far, though. I admit she's the most interesting to me. Ford is okay. I mean, he's easy to woo if you're a beginner. So easy. You can get into his events by accident, then just marry him if you want it. I'd say Wayne is pretty difficult. I tried to get with him. That's difficult. Lisette is also pretty difficult, the flower shop owner. So all the characters in their own way are interesting. It's just you have to put in the time to befriend them to really get their deep story. So if you're a big committee type of person to get all those friendship events, and I got some of them by accident though, because at first it was extremely hard to befriend the townspeople besides the one I was constantly looking for. But then by near the end, I've almost befriended by at least 3 or 4 hearts for most of them of all the villages. So it depends on, they eventually grow naturally on their own, I think, right? So the gameplay, or no, the gameplay, I mean the story, as I said, is interesting. The characters are interesting enough to keep you invested if you're really going into getting their, what is it, their heart, or their friendship events is what they call the friendship ones, right? So, I think I'm gonna get into the gameplay. Well guys, this is the big one. And the main reason that at the beginning I said that it was hard to get footage for this game. Guys, this game is not a game for a person who's let's playing it to just randomly let's play and commit to. You have to be veteran at recording and editing and patience to do this. And it's not a game you can just randomly play, because this is a game that requires tons of research beforehand, planning ahead. You couldn't just willy-nilly start this game not knowing what you're getting into, because everything has some sort of importance later on. Like, there's areas in West Town where you mine, and you would think, oh wow, that's worth a lot of money. Don't ship them right away. I learned that the hard way. Also, there's tons of fortune items you could pick up. Don't sell them or throw them out right away. Put them in your storage box. Hold on to them. Which can also be a headache in itself because you have only so much storage space. Let's just say you get farm tips from your father, as I said in the story. Each farm tip has different criteria, like harvesting a certain amount of items, like shipping is so much worth of gold, and you sometimes can only ship them once you get the farm tip to do so. So what you do before doesn't always count. So you have to make sure you research all 3 farm tips from people who've already played it. Say, okay, I need like 50 milk or something by this, so put it in the storage box. I need so many egg products or harvest crop products, whatever. And there's certain situations where you need to harvest them at a certain time, so you can't, the ones harvested before the farm tips comes out can't be counted. So you have to know just once you get the farm tips to plant something right away that grows really quickly and then harvest them. And not just that, on the final farm tips you need to get all 3 towns, Lulukoko, West Town, and Tuskia, again I can't pronounce it, to the B rank or above. And once you get your rank to a locked point, which you get to a certain section, like a little line section, it'll lock. So that means you can't unlock that rank until you do like 3 or 2 to 4 tasks, or 5 tasks. Higher the rank goes, the worse it is. For the final rank, there's certain things you need. You need a certain item, right? And sometimes the items can only be planted in certain seasons or found in certain seasons. So you have to make sure you research all the things you need for all of the links up to rank B of all 3 towns. Prepare yourself ahead, get to know when you can get those items. Like if it's a harvestable, if you need to plant something, a crop, you need to know when it comes out for you can get that item and plant it as soon as you can. Like whether this is the right season or what. Like for example, this is not has anything to do with the farm tips, but I wanted to have better quality rice for I can make like ingredient, cook and dish with it. And I cannot plant rice until the spring of the 3rd year now, because you can't edit the cellar to have paddy fields. So, for example, it's important to know when you can plant things too, and what you can do and what you can't do. So it's a game that you need to have fully planned. Like, let's just say, guys, don't take this to heart. If I planned to finally sit down and do a let's play on this game, I would have to really remember stuff I did when I was playing through this in market. Like, okay, stores are open on these days, so I could go to this at this time, right? I have to have a week or so worth of food, for example. I need to be able to know I have enough money to do that. I need to, like for example, in the second farm tips, you need a dairy factory, a seed maker, and you need the materials to make that stuff. So, also, another aspect of this gameplay, at the very beginning, it isn't so bad. You'll have a small little chores of tasks to do. You have to plant a few crops. You have to take care of maybe the one animal you get, maybe the two animals you get. By the time you're where I am right now, which is end of summer of year 2, it's ridiculous, guys. I don't have any real crops except for the trees, and I don't even care about the trees out there so much now. I know it's sin. Besides those trees out there, I have no crops outside my farm at all now. And I take care of only the crops in the cellar with the fall, spring, and summer suns in each of the 2 areas. Plus about, let me see, I'm trying to think. 3 barns and 2 coops, large coops of animals, right? And so it takes all day to do all these chores. I start in the morning, and by the time I'm done with if I did the crops first all together, I would be at the military time of 17.00. By then, the animals are pretty agitated. So, and if I did the animals, it might be close to the same way. And also, I'm at a point now where I have next to no room in my backpack. I have a 900 storage space, but that won't last long. And I'm just saying, I know this is mostly me, and I'm not the most organized person in the world, but it's ridiculous because I have to take time to. Maybe I could make some storage areas out back. Would help me just a little bit to go back to the house now that I think about it. But I have to take care of my crops, my animals. What I've learned that is helping me a little bit is that I am watering all my crops first, and having this trouble is with the 5 out of 5 watering can, right? It isn't that easy. I water all my crops, then I try to tend to my animals as much as I can, and then I try to fertilize my crops, because it's important, but that's the least important out of all of those tasks. And I barely get time to socialize or fish or anything else that is remotely socialization. So, in other words, most of the socialization should be done in the earlier parts of the game. Pretty much, because your whole life is taken over by the chores of the day. I mean, I swear I have 4 or 5 animals upset with me all at once. I should buy a whole stack of medicine because some have been getting sick. And yeah, I know, I'm just going on a rant now. I do apologize about that, but it's ridiculous. But I do give. So there are some fun things about this too. I know it sounds like in this part I've been mostly complaining, but it's wonderful in a way because you get to know the characters, right? You get to interact with the characters. There's wonderful festivals that when you actually win, feels great. You feel like the creme de la crop, right? No puns intended. You could dress up, you could get different fashioned clothes from the 3 different towns and other areas. You could dress as Mario, Peach, Toad, Luigi. Right? Too bad you can't be Yoshi though. But I actually just made this wonderful fox mask, which took me so many pearls and other stuff. And one thing is that when you do accomplish things, it's wonderful. You feel great. I got the top storage system, which I know doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me, it's great. I had to harvest so many, pink diamonds and pearls. Actually, I needed the pearls and all that, for the watering can, the 505 watering can. That just felt so good getting that. And I think the more you unlock for yourself, the more stuff you're able to get, makes you feel so much more accomplished because your farm just gets better. And it's just, I know I'm gushing now, that's the thing. The issue with it too is that when you get more stuff to do, you neglect other things. Like my poor dogs, I wonder what their condition is by now. Guys, I swear, I am not that neglectful to my real pets. They're taken care of. Right? Yeah, I know that joke isn't gonna go off very well. Can dogs die in this game? Well, I don't know. I mean, they seem happy enough. I just gotta remember to feed them. I mean, at least my barn animals have been mostly taken care of, but it's... As I said, it's one of those games that is difficult to maintain, but when you do, it feels so accomplishable. It does give you a sense of routine when you get the hang of it. So it's just... As I said, it's hard to explain. There's just so much to do in this game, like the cooking festivals, the fashion festivals, which I'm probably gonna suck in. I didn't do enough of them, but I've won a few cooking festivals at the veteran in the normal rank, beginning rank. Okay, I'm really trying to get myself into cooking in this game. It just sounds so interesting, and you learn about the better your crops are and the ingredients are, the better it turns out. I feel almost like Gordon Ramsay. Please don't send this clip to him, because he is not going to be so happy about that. I never did the highest ranks yet, so don't take that away from me. In closing, guys, I definitely think the rank that I saw on GameStop, the 4.5 out of 5, holds up really well. I don't think I would put it higher than that because it is a near perfect game, but as I said, the fact that you need to have a lot of concentration on this game is kind of a drawback. You can't just, it's not one of those games, even though some people might say farming games are, it's not one of those games that you could just lay back and just not use your brain, because this game you constantly again have to use your brain. The graphics are, as I said, both graphics and audio are competent enough, but it's not in the way where it would draw you in, like something like, for example, Breath of the Wild or some of the Pokemon games that have the fantastic soundtracks. So again, the 4 out of 5 does sound great, and I do highly recommend this game, especially to those who need a challenge and want to use their brain a lot. It's still one of my favorite 3DS games. So with that in mind, guys, okay, I'm using that same completionist saying, as I said, 4.5 out of 5. I'd recommend it. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel and like what you see, please subscribe. It helps this channel a lot. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you'll know when new videos are coming out. And I will see you guys in my next video.